Hi there, I'm back with another project. It's called the Scrappy Black Heart. That's what I call it, made with Kaffe fabric. It's not necessarily all that scrappy because this was one roll of 2.5 inch strips of Kaffe fabric. So I don't know if you would call that scrappy or not, but that's my thought anyway. Also, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for all the feedback. I won't have any music. Apparently, you guys couldn't hear me very well. I've ordered a microphone, but it's not on. It's not here yet. So I'm gonna move forward until then. So, with this project, I wanted to start with my inspiration. I saw a photo on Pinterest, and I just want to give credit where credit is due. And I just saved it, but I can't find it any longer. So uh, I, I used this diagram to create my scrappy heart. So let me see if I can zoom in for you. Okay, so I'm hoping you can see it. All right, let me zoom a little bit more. Okay, so do you see what I mean by a log cabin? Because it starts off with 2 blocks right there, and then you add on and you keep adding on to one side, and then you do the other side. I did not know the measurements of these, so I just used 2.5, which made sense to my brain. Okay, so I did two 2.5 inch squares, 2.5 by 4.5, 2.5 by 4.5, 2.5 by 6.5, 2.5 by 6.5, 2.5 by 8.5, 2.5 by 8.5, and then this one ends up, I believe, being 2.5 by 12. And I did the same ideal here, but I'll walk you through it. I just wanted to let you see my inspiration and maybe see how you could change it, because you could do 1.5. If you think about this, you could do any size really, and you could make it your own. You can do it with scraps as well. um, I did it with I did it using pre-cuts, and I just want to show you how it turned out. Okay, see, I think that's pretty good. Can you see it? Yeah. Maybe I'll turn it this way. No, I like them like that. Okay. So I used a 2.5 inch strip roll of Kaffe Facet. I do not know what year it is. I'm thinking it's 2019. That's what I'm thinking it is, but I do not know for sure. And then I just cut it up into the squares that I needed, and you'll see a little later on in the video. And what I did is, or what you can do, I use a background fabric, but you could use a charm pack or a 5 inch squares to one 5 inch square, and then you get one jelly roll or a 2.5 inch strip roll, and you can make this very easily. I'm going to do 18 blocks, okay, and I'm going to put it on point. So I would need at least 40 5 inch blocks, and that's my ideal to finish this up. I'm gonna just take, well, I did 14 blocks, so let me show you them first, and then I'll tell you what my plan is. Okay, so there's one. I'm sorry, I said 14, but I did 4. I started off with 4. I need to do 14 more. There we go. Looks like I might need to go back and press out my seams a little better too, but I will do that, and I'll square them. These come to 12.5, and I just think they're so pretty. So that's the last one there. So what you can do is you can take 2 5-inch squares per block, and that's 18 blocks. So 2 times 18 is 36. So you don't even need a whole charm pack or 5-inch squares, a packet of it. You won't even use it all up. You cut this one down to 4.5, and then you cut the other 5-inch block into 4 2.5-inch, and you snowball these corners. Okay, so let me see if you can see it. So you snowball 4 corners. So it actually will use up your jelly rolls if you like the scrappiness of it. But if you have certain colors that you prefer, or if you have a stash of 2.5-inch strips, this would be a great scrap buster in that way. Okay, so next I'm going to show you how I set it up. I'm going to show you how I lay out the blocks and how I sew them together. I actually have started chain stitching, but you'll get what I'm going for. Okay, be right back. Okay, I'm back and I'm ready to do the first block. I've already cut my background squares. I used black and I drew a chalk line down the middle of them, but I'm going to save that for last. I've already chain pieced my 2.5-inch strips, so I have a nice big pile here that I could do. But right now I'm just going to do one of this first block, okay? Oh, there we go. My chair won't move. Sorry, guys. There. Okay. Here we go. So I'm just going to attach it to the 4.5-inch strip, and I have my example right up here, okay? So I'm going to go by my example. And this is not the right example. All right, let's see. Okay, let's see. Turn it this way. There we go. So as you know, I already did one block wrong. So I want it to go in this direction. There we go. It doesn't matter. You can keep them all in the same direction. You can change them. It's your quilt. It's up to you. Alrighty. All right, 1/4-inch seam. Remember, just a 1/4-inch seam. That's loud, wasn't that? My sewing machine is rather loud, and I apologize for that. But I'm happy to have one, so. Oh boy. I'm having a struggle with my thread. There we go. Try it again. So this should go pretty fast since I've already chain stitched these. Boy, a little finger cuts. Okay, this is off a little. Finger press this. Turn on my iron while and I'm just going to square this up as I go. I think my 1/4 inch is a little too small, or my cutting is off, one or the other. But this block is very forgiving, which is what I like about it. So I'm just going to trim as I go, as needed. In the nursing world, that's called PRN. And for those that don't know, I am. That's my occupation is nursing. My love is quilting. Okay. So there's the first one. And I'm going to grab this one and put it on here. There we go. That one fit perfectly, so that was great. All right, let me press it. Okay, it goes back in there. Now we're gonna take a 6.5 inch and put it on here. And I didn't use pins. I didn't really feel like there's a need. The seams are pretty short, so there's really no need. I starched my fabric also for a couple of reasons. So I like that stiffness, and then hopefully it won't shrink as much. But all the fraying that I had on this 2.5 inch strip was one of the main reasons I wanted to stop the fraying. And it has somewhat. And of course, if I was chain piecing this, you know, I would just go one after the other with each size. And for example, I would do all of these together and then all of these together, and then I would just keep going. And that's my plan. That's my plan. Okay. All right. So there's that 6.5, and I'm missing a 6.5. Do we want to keep all this pink, or do we want to try something a little different? That's dark. What do you think? I like it. All right, another 6.5 inch. The other name I thought for this quilt that might be nice would be Log Cabin Heart, because it's basically the building blocks of a log cabin. So, but in the end, I ended up with Black Heart, Scrappy Black Heart. All right, so that's this portion right here. I've done that. We're gonna put 8 on here, 8.5 on here, and then we should end with another 8.5 here. I like to finger press before I take it to the iron. I'm going to cut some of these threads, and I'm using white thread. That's just because what I had in my machine. On most of these I've used black thread, so hopefully it won't show up with the black background. There we go. All right, that goes like that. The last one we're going to put on is this one, and then we are going to snowball 2 corners. That's what I ran out of. Bobbin. All right. Let me see if I have one already ready to go in here. Boy, oh boy. I don't. But I do have some in my bobbin case here. Let's see. There we go. This is a pre-wound bobbin I'm gonna use. Yeah, I'm gonna stick my empty one up there as a reminder. There we go. Alrighty. Bobbins back in. I need a little test drive. Make sure we're good. Put it down a little too. Let's see. Oh, that looks pretty good. All right, back side looks good too. So we can finish this. Okay. And a back stitch just to make sure that stays in place. All right. Okay, so this is my first block. We press it. Okay, so I think you could really do this in one day. I do need to trim this really quickly. So I'm going to move this out of the way now. The 8s, put the 6.5s together, the 4.5s together, and then those. Okay. There we go. All right. Need my ruler. Gonna line it up with a couple of seams. There we go. Yeah, I think it's my stitching or my pressing, one or the other, but this is a very, very forgiving block. You just square it up. And if your block doesn't come out to be 12.5, it comes out to be 12.25, you just trim them all up to, square them all up to 12.5. All right, so now I'm gonna move this. We are going to snowball. And I'm gonna look at my other one here. So this tells me that I need to snowball these 2 corners. Goodness gracious. It's a lot of strings here. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna snowball, and I put the block in front of me because I don't want to get it wrong. And this I do pin. I put 1 pin right smack in the middle. And when I sew my 1/4 inch, I do it just right on the inside of this line. Okay, this one has to go this way. There we go. Make sure they're lined up. All right, the pin is in place. Here we go. I don't have diagonal seam tape. That is on my my wish list, and hopefully I'll pick some up really soon because it's very economical. It's not very expensive that I've seen. So it's just something I need to do. All right, here we go. And I've learned with my machine, I just have to go very slow when I am snowballing. Don't it'll just eat up the fabric. There we go. Also, I'm hoping to upgrade my machine soon. I just don't know if I am up to learning a new machine, and if my skill set is ready for a new machine. So as of right now, I'm sewing on my brother that I got for Mother's Day in 2018. It's my very first sewing machine, and the very first time I've ever sewn outside of home ec. So I'm old enough to remember home ec too. Okay, let's do our other one. I call it a successful day when it doesn't eat my fabric, especially when I'm sewing snowballing corners. All right, okay, so let's see how they turned out. A little wonky, but that's okay. I can freshen them up. This one's perfect. All right, pretty good. I'm gonna press these back and then I will be back. All right, let me move this out of the way. My last two steps on this block. I'm going to cut the extra part off here. And these are too small for me to save. I will use them as beginning and enders, but they are too small for me to save. I have some that are like 1.5, but I don't save anything smaller than that. But I will put them in my little bowl, and I'll use them when I have issues and need a starter ender. Now I'm just going to trim up this block a little. There we go. Sorry, looking for my rotary cutter. There we go. There we go. Gonna line up with one of these down here. And you'll see what I mean by how forgiving it is. Once I put it in the block, you won't be able to tell that this was wonky at all. All right, we look pretty good. I'm gonna do one more thing here. This is not off, but I'm gonna try to get some of this fraying. There we go. Okay, so part 1 is done. Part 1 of this block, which is right here, is done. Okay. So I will see you in a little while when I do the second part, which would be the small log cabin, if you can call it that, and that 4.5 inch background square. And then I'm going to use these two to snowball these two corners. Okay. Okay, I'm back and I'm just going to finish up my Scrappy Black Heart. And I've already pieced block A. That's what I was calling this. And this is block B. I have two 2.5 squares sewn together. Then I'm going to attach the 4.5 by 2.5 by 4.5. To that I'm going to attach the 2.5 by 4.5. And then I have a 4.5 inch background. Before I do that though, I need to snowball this corner up here. So I'm going to snowball that corner. Okay. Here is the actual what the heart is going to look like. So I'm going to piece this block, put the snowball on it, add this 4.5 inch square, sew it to this block, and then add the 12.5 inch, and then snowball it. So that's my plan. Here we go. It shouldn't take but just a few minutes. I have my iron on. It's popping over here. So let me do this really quickly. All right. And you can see how if you chain piece this would go really fast. If you chain piece each section, it would really be super fast. Alrighty. Oh, there we go. Alright. Finger press it back. I'm also going to use my iron. All right. Then to this, I'm going to add the top. I think it's so incredible in one Kaffe line how many different colors there are. It makes this heart look scrappy, even though it's one line of fabric. Finger press here. All right, so let me take off these strings. Again, I'm just sewing with white because that's what's in my machine right now, white thread. All right. Next, I'm going to add my before I do that, I need to snowball this corner. Let me just make sure I do it right. All right, it's going to go there. So it's going to go in this corner. Yeah. Let me get a pen. I should be able to piece the rest of it without my example. Alrighty. Go nice and slow so my machine doesn't eat up my fabric. Yay. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to put it back. Oh, it looks really good. Let me press it. All right. We press it. And chop off this extra piece. Okay, again, if I didn't say it, a 1/4 inch seam. I'm saving these so I can use them as beginning and enders. There we go. All right, press it one more time. And if I had my setup, what I would do actually is I would probably spray it with some starch and make sure it stayed down, but that's just how I do it. So now I'm going to put my 4.5 inch block on here, background. Oh, fits perfectly. Awesome. And I've been pressing everything outwards. Just seems to work better for me. And remember, you can always square up this block at the very end. Let me press. Alrighty. So now this, I'm gonna sew these two together, and you can see how my heart is coming together. There we go. For this seam, I am going to I'm going to pin. There we go. Just one, and then at the very end. All right, I'm going to sew this a quarter inch seam. I didn't line up the black on black very well, so let me do that again. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's see how it's turning out. Let me move this pin. Also, I'm going to press outwards. Okay. So, all right, it's looking good. Just have my last 2 steps. I am going to add this 2.5 by 12 inch to the rest of this block. So block A, block B, and then you add a 2.5 inch strip. But before I do that, I can see, I don't know if you can see, but it's not very straight. So I am going to straighten that up with my ruler. I use 2 seam lines. Well, it's not that bad. It's probably about less than 1/8 off, but still. There we go. All right, let's sew it on. Say, which way should we sew it? Yeah, this looks good to me. Again, with the longer seams, I am going to use pins. You don't have to. It should fit. If you use a 1/4 inch seam and you cut accurately, it should fit perfectly. This one fits almost perfect. Okay. Last seam. There we go. Finger pressing. Chop off some of these extras, I call them. And I'm gonna press it and I'll be right back. Okay, last step for my heart. I need to snowball this corner right here. And I had one more ready to go. But I gotta find it. I guess I did too much taking stuff off of my, here it is. Sorry, it's ready to go. All right, and this one's pretty easy. I know it goes this way. It's gonna go the same as this corner right here, okay? So, and some people like to snowball it before they add it on, which is fine. Do however you like. I think it was Lori Holt I seen do it this way, and it just works so much better for me. I like it better. Alrighty. Take out my pen. Alright, last one. Square it up there. Awesome. Press. Okay. Then chop off the remainder. Save this for a leader, an ender. And then I'm going to press it one more time. All right. Let's see if I could just touch up the sides here. It's a little uneven. There we go. Seems like I'm taking off a lot there. I don't want to take off that much. But in order to make it straight, that's what I had to do. Didn't like that. Let's try it again. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me check the other side. Oh, that looks pretty good. If it's less than 1/8 of an inch off, I'm not gonna worry about it because I can always sew it in. So there's my heart. There's my black scrappy heart. Okay, I can't wait to set it on point. The next thing I'll show you is the quilt top, probably be almost completed. I haven't decided if I'm gonna sash it or not. I think that might make each heart stand out quite a bit, and then I'll use leftover Kaffe cornerstones for it, 2.5. The sashing would be 2.5, and so would the cornerstones. And then I'll do the setting triangles. So I will print those, excuse me, print. I will cut those and put them in there. Okay, I'll see you when I get back. Hi there. Before I go, I just want to let you know that I was able to locate the pattern. It's on Pinterest, and I'm just going to walk you through really quickly how to get to it. So I am on the Pinterest page. I don't think you have to have an account. What I just did is I hit search. I typed in Scrappy Log Cabin Heart. Let's see if you can see it. Turn it a little for you. There you go. Type that in, and voila, patterns came up. There's also a very cute one right below it. It's a 4-patch heart, so that'd be a cute option as well. But I chose this one, Scrappy Log Cabin Heart. I touched it because I am on my iPad. You would probably click it if you're on a desktop. And you're gonna click the image one more time, and it comes up to her website. It's Neverland Stitches by Lisa Jo, and I'm just going to zoom in. There it is, neverlandstitches.blogspot.com. So that's how you can get her get the pattern. I'm just going to scroll up really quickly so you can see that it's all laid out there for you, and she uses 2.5-inch squares. But you don't have to restrict yourself to that. You can use 1 inch, 2 inches, 1.5, 3, just depends on the size of heart that you desire. Alrighty, so there's what I used. You do need to know how to set a quilt on point. And there's many videos. Jonna Jordan is really good with her explanation of setting a quilt on point. So I would definitely go to jordanfabrics.com and look at a couple of her videos for that. I ended up sashing and putting quarterstones in mine, and I'm just going to show you a picture. I've already given the quilt top away, but I want to show you a picture of it. Let me see if I can bring it up. Go to my photos. There it is. It turned out so beautiful. And I gave it away to our host of my very first retreat that I went on about a week ago. I had such a fabulous time, and she did such a great job. But you can see that I put the sashing in, and then I put cornerstones, so it looks like almost a diamond at the bottom of the hearts. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys later.